Do you know about ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome? I didn't years ago, and then my sister said she had it, and that was years ago. And I'm seeing lots more posts on my feed now about it. And because I knew someone with it, since then, naturally, you start to understand more about it and things. So I thought I'd put this video up really from my experience, and it might help you, in that ME doesn't have the support it needs. It is a real thing. I'll give you some hints why. And I kind of tell you, this is why it's so important to understand how you work. And there's more knowledge, it's easier to find out things, truths, than ever before. In the same way, it's easier to find out mistruths and all the wrong stuff. So knowing the difference has always been a human challenge. We talk about it being harder now. It isn't any harder now than it ever was. People used to have to knock on your door, but then they're right in front of you. You couldn't kind of ignore them, and it would seem true, and you had no way of checking. So ME is a specific, most medical things you'll find, they're not really as specific as you think they are. Once you get into it, you find it's just, this will be a weird thing, but it's just like recipes, for example, in cooking. When someone says, what's a bolognese or what's a carbonara? So I used to think carbonara was a very specific thing, and the one I had, that was the favourite one I had, that was in Stoke when we went there, and it was gorgeous. And then after that, I found every single carbonara I had was different. So I didn't used to eat out all the time, so I didn't know that. And I was used to McDonald's, where it is all exactly the same. That's the point, you know, that kind of thing, where it's always exactly the same. But in a genuine restaurant, using genuine cooking and art and that kind of stuff, things are different. So every carbonara you have is different. Same as when you go to a place you do roast beef, you know, roast and stuff. Every place you go is actually a bit different. That's the point. So real life is the same thing. And so viruses, diseases, all these things are different. So ME, chronic fatigue, same thing. We are that complicated as human beings. And medicine, as we know it, is only a couple of 100 years old. You can change your numbers, you can figure out different things, but basically it used to be very much a complete guesswork and almost made up. Whereas now it is a bank of knowledge that's well checked, and it's still got all sorts of flaws in it, but it's a heck of a lot better than it used to be. Brilliant. Okay. So ME and chronic fatigue are simply a disease where a person loses their ability really to have enough energy. I'm not going to go into major detail because there's plenty out there about it. And what's more important is to understand things like all the ME people that I've known, all the people who have ME or chronic fatigue, is that the fact that they're unable to name it specifically is not the people's fault. It's more, that's a challenge with medicine. It's much more complicated than people think. But the trend I saw is always with the people who work the hardest, working too hard. They were always the workaholics, never the people who just chilled and bumbled through and whatever. Always the people who worked far too hard. And I say this because not only have I seen it, my sister was that type A, just go and get stuff done. And she got the first in the university that she was at, and she was doing criminology. First in 7 years. It was like this crazy thing. But you could tell she was always busy working. And everyone else that I've met who's had it, their past is the same thing. And in the body, what you'll find is, Gabor Mate kind of has written a book in that kind of thing. A lot of people will have done. The body keeps a score. And all it really is that your body is like anything else. History matters. How it's got to where it is matters. And these things build up. So we don't realize how well made we are. And we don't realize that because of our ancestors, our ancestors are essentially in us because we are here because of what they did. And evolution, the way biology works, those bits of knowledge and things come through to us, which is fantastic. What it also means is that we're a hybrid energy system. We're a hybrid organism. I'm trying to think, how do you say it? We used to PCs. We're used to computers. Excuse me. A computer's about as complicated as one cell, if you're lucky. So we've got trillions of cells that can do things that one computer could do. And lots of techers go, no, they can do Computers are harder? No, they aren't, because cells do 3D printing. They do amazing things. And that's just one cell, and they've been around for billions of years. And coming back to chronic fatigue, what you'll find is that they struggle when they push themselves very hard. Or if they do anything really and use their energy, they have to literally manage their energy every single day for the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, that's why my sister isn't here anymore. Because once you're in that state, there's a lot more to it. But this is a common problem with so many illnesses. Regardless of, you see, it's a random video, but it's trying to get something out. Other illnesses have the same kind of concept, that you push your body too far and it breaks in the way it breaks depending on where you put the pressure. So with ME, there'll be lots of different things that cause it. But one of them can be, you wouldn't be aware of this, but Harvard you can have multiple kinds of mitochondria. And what that means is different types of mitochondria doing different things will get energy in different ways. And the more we get into energy, the more we understand how the body works, the more we find, oh, it's more complex than we thought it was. So I already assume it's way more complex, and I already read the signs of, okay, this is where they'll roughly go. So the reason I said we have multiple kinds of mitochondria is I've seen it in one place, and that's Harvard X. They did a course and they went through, and there was a specific professor talking about how they've got multiple types of mitochondria doing multiple different things. And this, I've been doing biology so long, same as all the other, I'll take these off because they create glare. I've seen so many bits where scientists go, oh, that's not true anymore, we thought it was. It's like, it was never true, but you can only talk about what you can prove, and that's fair enough. So again, it makes much more sense that you have multiple types of mitochondria doing different things. It was a long time ago that I studied this bit, and I haven't gone over it recently. I think they might have taken the course down. But basically the point being that you can push your body so hard that parts of it break. And if parts of it break, as in your mitochondria, if these stop working very well, all because you push them too hard, then after a while, you have gone from having 7 different ways or 10 different ways or whatever to get the energy you need to only having one. And you could still function, and then all of a sudden that one starts to fail, and that's when you notice it. Okay? This isn't a planned video, so my apologies, but the trends I see in ME are pushing your body too far. Something will break, and then you get whatever the symptom is what you'll label it as. But in diabetes, I saw the same thing when I got explanations when I was at university about how type 2 diabetes occurs. And actually, it's the same reason that they believe for a lot of diabetes happening, which is a virus, something else, but mainly a virus, will infect, it will be the islets of Langerhans. It's a very specific place in the pancreas. And it ruins it, basically. I just go simple terms rather than getting too medical about it. Because this is what happens all the way through the body. Viruses do all sorts of things, and they always have. People are starting to realize that. I'll talk about horizontal gene transfer at one point, because that's what they really do. And you'll find that they'll start to realize, blimey, viruses do all sorts of things. And they're just like bacteria. They are not good or they're bad. They just are what they are. I'm always thinking about this stuff, so I noticed how the name virus we always think is bad. It's not necessarily bad. There are lots of viruses that actually improve things, but we won't have thought about it that way because of the name virus. It's like cancer, we always think it's bad. So anyway, that's naturally me jumping off on one, but the point is with diabetes, it's the same thing. If a virus comes in and is not stopped, then it can wreak havoc. That's the point. And it's not just viruses. We know bacteria do the same thing. We know the sunlight does the same thing with your cells, all sorts of things. So your natural defenses are everything. And this is the biggest reason that you need to understand how you work. Or really, it's an investment. I see lots of people investing in money. That's only as good as great, but money can be lost and whatever. Knowledge in how you work will benefit you for the rest of your life. And that is the one of the reasons I wanted to share this, because I didn't know about ME. Since I saw this, I saw a lot of things while I was studying sports science. I noticed that the reason I didn't go down that route, I didn't really pursue it so much afterwards, was I wanted to understand other aspects of how human beings work, because sports science was all about pushing people too hard. So like in a car, if you went too fast but had no brakes and didn't have any protections and all sorts of stuff, you were just going as fast as you could, you're bound to lead to really bad accidents. And that's what I keep seeing, is people are pushing themselves really hard. They're making themselves do all sorts of things, but they don't really appreciate the need to slow down, then to have brakes, to have steering, to have control. And it's the same for a human. Your cells need time to recover. So these are things I want to unpack over time, because it's really in depth. This particular video I've made is, I'm trying to learn how to actually document it, and I'm trying to learn how to express it, because you can see there's so much going through my mind at any one point. But understanding how I work makes life so much easier, because I can put all these bits of information together and it makes sense, and I can protect the people I care about. I couldn't help my sister, and that's a real shame. And I know so many people are in the same position, that they wish they could help someone they care about. But it's also important to understand, this is where it was with cholera in something like 1810 or something like that. I believe it was John Snow when he studied cholera, and he pinned it down to a well. I believe it was in Lambeth in London. And he pinned specifically down, is basically people researching and starting to notice trends, and they notice their trends, and we all notice our own trends about things. And he noticed that the only people who actually got affected got water from one well. And that's how we discovered that cholera is a waterborne virus, waterborne bacteria, and it infects us. And just that knowledge helped them figure out a treatment and cure. And it's easier for us to understand bacteria than it is viruses. Without going into that, that's just how it works. So we've done a lot with bacteria. We're still learning so much about viruses, and it's very new to us in a lot of ways, to be honest, to believe we can do anything with viruses. But consistently, I keep finding, whether it's cancer, whether it's diabetes, whether it's this ME, they ultimately get caused by viruses. Now, you can't fix that. That's for doctors. That's for experts to come up with vaccines. That's for them. What you can do is support your immune system and your natural healing powers, because humans are really, really tough, but because it's so easy, we don't need to have that strength anymore. And most of our strength is stuff you can't see. So our immune system, I'll put a review at some point about Immune, which is from Kyrgyzstan, which is a great site, and they've just done a nice review on the way the immune system works. And in that book, you get so much of what I learned years ago when I was working through biology, and I understood the immune system. And you don't need to know every little thing about it. Just realizing you have a system, if you treat it like an organ, just like your muscles and other things. With muscles, we're very, very used to when we train and you do sports science, it goes, right, you've got to have a rest day, you've got to do this. It's all programmed. That's correct. It's like you do need to have rests, because you don't improve in the training sessions. You improve afterwards when you let yourself recover. With your immune system, it's the same thing. If you keep pushing yourself too hard, then it will actually almost break and basically not be there to protect you. So viruses like this will come through and get you. And this is every single day. Thousands of things are trying to infect you every single day. So your immune system's incredibly important, but we don't train that. We think about things that we can see and understand, and we train those. It's the same with nerves. Not once have I ever seen anyone really make the point that our nerves are constantly working. So of course we have nervous breakdowns. But since mental health has only just been appreciated in the last 10 years, I'll talk more about mental health some other time, it's inherently obvious that actually our nerves run through us all the time. They're very energetically active when they work, if you understand how they work. If you don't give them a rest, they're going to break. That's for another time, but unfortunately that happened to my sister too. And I've seen it through my family. Nerves clearly not working as they should, and that's a massive shame. But it's all about getting back to balance over time. If there's two things that I've learned about keeping good health, when you look at the way all society's done it over time, all the people that have good health, and over time, particularly good health is how to age well. If you age well, everything else sorts itself out. And that's balance over time. Be really good at restoring balance to yourself, being aware of what kind of balance you need. because your cells want to work. They want to work well. They're programmed to work well. But the way you act defines whether they get to work well and whether they get what they need. But also, you need to challenge them in ways that help them get their balance. You need to make them do things. It's just the way we're made. So balance over time is everything. And ME came about in my sister because she didn't know how to bring balance to her body, which would be not work too hard. Because I come from a workaholic family, you might do yourself. And we struggle with the problems of normal workaholism. It's just no one else in my family realizes that's what they're getting. They think it's something else. But if you push your body too hard, it's going to break in some way. And that's all that's happened. So knowing whether you're in balance in the myriad ways that a human being works and biology works and cells work, that's complicated. So why not take time? Because I can guarantee you're brilliant at anything, at lots of complicated things, because everyone I know is. They're cooks, they're good at, they do music, they write books, whatever it is they do. They find it easy because they've been doing it so long. So I find this easy because I've been doing it so long. I literally just picked up books and started to read and learn and watch TV just like anyone else. But now I can put things together, and I'm frustrated that no one else can see these things. And that's normal. We're all used to this. But my expertise happens to be how the human being works, because that's my passion. So you get good at what you do. It's obvious. Everyone does that. So I'm encouraging you to do that. Because there will be pain in your life. There will be injuries, diseases. It's normal. It's just you don't know how to support yourself. If you know how to support yourself, you can help other people support you better, and support themselves better. So that's what I'm trying to do, is pass it on and help other people support themselves better. So I'll drop it there. I'll leave it there for now. I need feedback about, how to improve these videos, how to get noticed and whatever. But I also want you to, particularly if you do have someone who is suffering from ME or chronic fatigue, there's more information out there than ever before. But unfortunately still, the medical community does not get it. So I said a few things that might help them understand things. They still won't, because the problem with the medical industry is always the thing that, like all big industries, they take a very, very long time to change because they've got so many other things to deal with. And they don't talk to each other. And when you'll have doctors who completely believe with you, they don't talk to others who do, but also they have no proof yet. It's too hard. So I could, as an engineer, I'm very used to breaking these problems down and solving them. But our tools in biology aren't good enough. They're just recently starting to get good enough. So I put some hints there about what you might look for, which would be in mitochondria and other areas, to see, well, where's the energy going wrong? So hopefully that's helpful. I'm going to drop this now. I hope you've liked the video or it's been useful. I'll see you in the next one.